that we have to discuss. Okay, friends. So at least I think for this 1 or 2 weeks, we have to go for online lectures, and then when we work for offline, then more clarification is possible because always offline is having a commanding position. There, one to one we can ask doubt, one to one we can discuss what are your difficulties, we can share these difficulties, and so on. Okay, so there are some pros and cons of offline. There are some pros and cons of online also. Okay. Okay, friend. Okay. So this is our first topic. That is system of coplanar forces. Now look for that. One by one we'll proceed. Machinery mechanics is divided into two parts. One is called as a statics. Second one is called as a dynamics. Statics means completely at rest. No motion, nothing. No rotation, no linear motion, no horizontal, vertical, nothing. That is called as a statics. Whereas in dynamics, some type of motion is there. It may be linear motion, it may be angular motion, or it may be two-dimensional motion, or maybe three-dimensional motion. Some type of motion is available. Okay, so now we are in first part that is called as the statics. In statics, our first topic is system of coplanar forces. This forces or force system is divided into two parts. One is called as the coplanar force system, and second one is called as a non-coplanar force system. Coplanar means in same plane. So friends, what you do now, you are completely free. Just after every lecture, either you go through textbook if they are available with you. If not, you can search in on Google. On Google also some PDF textbooks are available. You can go through that PDF textbook, or just if you are typing this, you'll get maximum content related to this. And please try to understand all this system from your end, because this is online lecture. So in that case, either you have understood this or not, that we are unable to understand. Okay, so these are the difficulties of online lectures. In case of offline, one-to-one we can ask either have you understood this or not. Okay. These forces are divided into two parts. One is called as a coplanar force system. Second one is called as a non-coplanar force system. Coplanar force system means forces are in same plane. So when forces are in same plane, it is called as a coplanar force system. Okay, can you hear me properly? Both regions?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Purva, you are from which region?
Sir, B.
Is there someone from other region so that frequently I can ask which difficulty? What's your good name? Haridas. Haridas, and Haridas is from division A. Okay. Okay. So meanwhile, Haridas and Purva, you have to reply either I'm audible or not. Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Forces are divided into two parts. One is called as a coplanar force system. Second one is called as a non-coplanar force system. Coplanar means in same plane. There are a number of planes. Horizontal planes are there. Vertical planes are there. Inclined planes are there. Imagine that on one horizontal transparent sheet, some lines are pasted, exactly pasted, okay, not perpendicular to that. Angle made by that line with that sheet must be equals to 0. That type of force system is called as a coplanar force system. All forces, when they are accommodated in a single plane, it is called as a coplanar force system. Whereas, if we are unable to accommodate all forces in a single plane, it is called as non-coplanar force system. It is very difficult to deal non-coplanar force system, but it is slightly simple to define coplanar force system because they are in single plane. When they are in single plane, any plane vectorially can be defined into two-dimensional force system. That is component along x-axis and y-axis z component is forever equals to 0. Whereas in case of non-coplanar force system, you have to work for x component, you have to work for y component, as well as you have to work for z component. Okay. So this coplanar force system is divided into four parts. Number one, collinear coplanar force system. Collinear means in a single line. If all forces are lying in a single line, or if all forces are along the same line, it is called as collinear coplanar force system. Concurrent. Meaning of concurrent is passing through a single point. Concurrent is coming in two, that is coplanar as well as non-coplanar. Because on the day I told. So, what are these cases related to that? Collinear coplanar force system. So, these are all forces lying along a single line, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. The line along which a force acts is called as its line of action. So the line of actions of all forces are matching to one another. So this is your collinear coplanar force system. Then coming to concurrent coplanar force system. Meaning of concurrent is what? Passing through a single point. If all forces are passing through a single point, it's called as a concurrent. But either they are in single plane or not, that you have to define. If given forces are coplanar and passing through a single point, it is called as concurrent coplanar force system. So what is the example you are looking there? It is related to concurrent coplanar force system. All forces must be coplanar. They have to pass through one point. So here all forces are coplanar, all are lying in this plane, and all are passing through this point. Either this F1 is acting here or acting here. This F3 is acting at the center or acting here. It is one and the same. Their line of actions are passing through one common point. So what is 100% technical definition? If the line of actions of all coplanar forces passes through a single point, it is called as concurrent coplanar force system. Once again, I will repeat. If the line of actions of all coplanar forces passes through a single point, it is called as a concurrent coplanar force system. So this example is perfectly the example of concurrent coplanar force system. Next, parallel coplanar force system. Parallel means what? The line of actions are parallel. So when the line of actions of all coplanar forces are parallel to one another, it is called as parallel force system. Then I will go for parallel coplanar. If the line of actions of coplanar forces, are parallel to one another, then that type of system is called as parallel coplanar force system. So, Mr. Haridas and Purva, I'm audible? Haridas?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Haridas? Okay, fine. So frequently I will go on asking the same question. So by chance, if you want loudness, if you want smoothness, what you want, that you have to tell. Okay? And mostly I'm speaking always in English. that also you have to remember. And by chance, if you want some of the explanation in Hindi or Marathi, so if you are saying, then only I will repeat in Hindi or English, otherwise no. Okay? So, parallel coplanar forces are divided into two parts. One is called as a like parallel, second one is called as a unlike parallel. Like parallel means if the line of actions of given coplanar forces are parallel to one another and they are directing only in one direction. That is called as a like parallel. Whereas in a coplanar force system, in a parallel coplanar force system, if the directions of forces are opposite to one another, some are upward, some are downward, some are to the right, some are to the left, then that type of system is called as unlike parallel coplanar force system. And last one that is called as the general coplanar force system. So all forces are lying in a single plane. When all forces are lying in a single plane, that is called as the general coplanar force system. This is neither collinear. Now look for that here. This force F1, F2, if you are looking, they are not collinear. F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, they are not concurrent also. They are not parallel also. So it is non-concurrent, non-parallel, non-collinear coplanar force system. So general coplanar force system is non-collinear, they are not in one line, non-concurrent, they are not in that they are not passing through a single point, and non-parallel, they are not parallel. But they all are acting in a single plane. It is called as the general coplanar force system. And along with that, what that M1 is shown, that I will explain, that M1 is called as a moment or that is called as a couple. Okay. So friends, in that way, this coplanar force system is divided into four parts. Number one is collinear coplanar force system. Number two is concurrent coplanar force system. Number three is parallel coplanar force system, and last, which is a combination of all, is called as the general coplanar force system. Our 90% mechanics is based on coplanar forces. Hardly 10% is related to non-coplanar forces. Please remember, 90% quantum of engineering mechanics is related to coplanar, just 10% quantum is related to non-coplanar force system. So be cautious, and because of that reason, we are dividing this coplanar and non-coplanar separately. Foreign references, if you are looking, yesterday also, or not yesterday, on that day also we have seen, there are some foreign references. One name was discussed on that day, that is called as R.C. Hippler. R.C. Hippler is there, Miriam and Craig is there, Timoshenko is there, Sames is there, Pierre and Johnson is there. These are all foreign references. Quite difficult at the beginning or for the beginners. Okay, and difficulty with them is they have not defined forces into two parts, that is coplanar and non-coplanar. They have considered that everything is non-coplanar. And for every problem, they have given unique solution, and that unique solution is based on vector algebra. Everything is converted in terms of vector, and what vector methodology is available, that vector methodology is adaptive. But we are not doing by that. Why? Because our 90% work is coplanar. Hardly 10% is non-coplanar. So why to disturb this 90% because of 10%? Why to complicate simple problem into complicated and to solve that? Because of that reason, we are working separately as a coplanar and non-coplanar force system. So in case of coplanar force system, our methodology is a scalar methodology. Whereas in non-coplanar force system, our methodology is a vector methodology. Since it is a vector methodology, we must know what is called as a dot product, what is called as a cross product, what is I dot I, what is I cross I, and so on. What is triple product and all these things. So all these vector operations, which already you have studied in 11, 12, as well as you are learning simultaneously at first year also. So these operations related to vector algebras are needed to solve the problem of non-coplanar force system. Okay, now what we do? Now many times what happens, students are directly attacking on problem. Don't solve problem directly. First, try to understand fundamentals. Once you understand fundamental, automatically you will be able to solve the numericals. Many times what happens, directly you are jumping to numericals, and then whatever difficulties you are facing, then that difficulties again you are coming back, and then you are sorting this difficulty. It becomes very difficult by that way. So go by basic. And those who are learning this engineering mechanics from basic, definitely he or she will feel that this subject is very simple to understand. But always you have to go by different concepts. Okay. So whatever this scalar methodology is available, whatever coplanar force system is available, you have to find out result. What is main aim of this topic? What exactly you have to do? In this topic, you have to find out resultant. You have to find out resultant means exactly what you have to do on the day. Already I told, if there are 10 forces, working with 10 becomes difficult. Hence, what you have to do, these 10 forces, you have to convert in terms of 1 and then work out with that 1. That 1 is called as the result. So in future what happens, instead of working with all these 10, it is always become simple, always advisable to work with single. That single force may be called as the equivalent force or may be called as the resultant. So friends, in first topic, your job is so simple, exactly what you have to do. Whatever complicated system is available, this complicated system, you have to convert it in terms of 1. But that 1 must be equivalent to whatever basic system is available. If 10 forces are available and these 10 forces you are converting it in terms of resultant, then effect of 10 forces and effect of that single force must remains the same. That care you have to take. So is it okay, Purva and this Rishikesh or Haridas? Okay, Purva ऐकू येतं ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are the fundamental principles or maybe called as a vector terminology. Number 1, line of action of a force. Already on the day I told, force is not visible. It is imaginary. It is imaginary. Based on existence or based on effect, you have to realize, yes, force is acting. Vehicle is moving, means definitely force is acting. Without force, vehicle can't move. One of the bodies falling down, is definitely gravitational attraction is there, and because of the gravitational attractive force, anything which is thrown upward, it starts falling in downward direction. Whenever you are throwing one of the body in upward direction, it's very big force you have applied. That force is not visible. Force is not visible. The efforts you have applied, but these efforts are not visible. So it is imaginary. So the line, and the line is also imaginary. Now look for the magic. Force is also imaginary. Line is also imaginary. So the imaginary line on which a force acts is called as its line of action. Please remember, a line on which the force acts is called as its line of action. It is an imaginary line on which the force acts is called as its line of action. Every force is having its own line of action. Just like you people. You all are having your family, all are having grandmother, grandfather, again forefathers. So you have your own family. You have your own origin. Like that, every force is having its origin. So the line on which force acts is called as its line of action. Like that. There is one more law. That is called as the law of transmissibility of a force. Please remember, in several question paper, this law of transmissibility is asked. Even for this proof is also asked. So how to go for proofing and all these things, that in later part I will explain. Okay. The law of transmissibility of a force. What its statement is very important. Please listen carefully. Effect of a force on its line of action everywhere remains unchanged. The effect of a force on its line of action everywhere remains unchanged. So please remember, please look out here. This force is acting at A. Don't say this another force is acting at B. This line of action is extended further. And what it says, you apply force here. So what happens? Body is pushed to the right. Someone says, on same line, if you are applying force here, practically meaning changes. Practically what it says, I am pulling this body. When it is acted at point A, I can say that, yes, I am pushing this body. When I'm applying this force at B, I have to say that I am pulling this body. But practically, these push and pulls are different, but theoretically we can say, or technically we can say, or practically we can say, in this case, the effect of this force system remains same. And engineering or science says that when effect remains same, then forget about all these things. So that is called as a law of transmissibility. Please listen carefully. The effect of a force on its line of action everywhere remains unchanged. Now, I will add one more sentence, comma, constraint to the geometry of the body. Constraint to geometry of the body means what exactly it means. So now look for that here in online. Again, explanation of that becomes very difficult, but I will try to explain. Now, look for that here. You have to open the door and you are inside the house. Then what you are doing? You are pulling at the handle. If you are outside, then what you are doing? You are pushing. So look for that here. Practicality is same, effect is same, door gets open. Main final aim is what? You have to open the door. If I am inside, I am pulling this door. So door starts rotating maybe in clockwise direction. If I am outside, I have to push the door. Again, door starts rotating in clockwise direction. What it indicates? It indicates that practically this pull and push have same meaning. But effect remains same, door gets open. What constraint is there? If you have to open or if you have to close the door, you have to apply force where? You have to apply force at the handle. If you are not touching to this handle, and if you are applying force in space, and then you will realize why door is not moving. So door won't move. So to open that door, I have to apply force at the handle itself. This force must have some correlation with the body or with this door. Then only door gets open. That is called as a constraint. So what constraint is there? Constraint is force you have to apply at the hook or maybe whatever handle is given. Otherwise what happens? You will apply force in the space and your door doesn't get open, doesn't get closed. That is called as a law of transmissibility. What it says, the effect of a force on its line of action everywhere remains unchanged, constant to the geometry of the body. Now, carefully look for this case. Very carefully how to solve. Very carefully how to look for this case. Okay, Haridas and Purva, it's okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, good. Okay, now carefully look for that here. Explanation of all these things on Blackboard is simple, but somehow we have to go for this online tool. We don't have much alternative with us. So this operation is a most important operation, and name of this operation is resolution of a force or component of a force. Resolution or component of a force. Resolution or component of a force. Look carefully look for that here. Okay, imagine that you are sitting in a rectangular room. In front of that, one vertical wall is available, rectangular wall. Just imagine at bottom corner here, this is a bottom corner. This is one corner and this is opposite corner. Mark one line and then see this is your rectangular wall. This is diagonal of that rectangle. This is nothing but rectangle. In rectangle, this diagonal is available, and these two are the adjacent sides of that diagonal, we can say, or this force, we can say. So consider this diagonal as a force. Passing through this as a origin, this is nothing but one side of the rectangle. This is nothing but another side of the rectangle. So if you consider this is a rectangular wall and one force which is originated at this corner, that force I have to pull out up to this extreme corner condition. And when I am forming this as a rectangle, what I will get? I will get this side and another is this side. In the other way, if I am looking from the top for this force, I feel projection of this force on horizontal axis is this line. So components of a force is nothing but projection of that force along that axis. So this axis is x-axis. This axis is y-axis or vertical axis. Similarly, this is inclined force. If I'm looking this inclined from side view, now look for that. Suppose this Haridas is standing vertical. What is its front view? His front view is complete height. Suppose Mr. Haridas is 6 feet high. So 6 feet is its projected length. This is nothing, and if I am calling this is y-axis, this is y component. And where he is standing from the leg, if I am marking horizontal perpendicular axis called as the x-axis, and if I take its top view of standing person is what? It is just 1 point. It's just 1 point. That is called as a top view. And that top view is nothing but x component of a force. Please remember, resolution of a force or component of a force is very simple. Just you have to consider diagonal of the rectangle, projection of that diagonal of a rectangle along x-axis is nothing but adjacent side of the rectangle. And projection of same force along y-axis is nothing but projected length of that diagonal along vertical side of the rectangle. So if I am considering diagonal as the force, this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So along x-axis, your projected length, this length from geometry you have to calculate. Then to calculate by geometry, remember this is origin, F, this is total F length, and this is vertical side, which is y component, this is horizontal side, which is x component. Then from geometry, if I write cos theta equals to adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. Cos theta equals to adjacent side is fx, hypotenuse is f. So cos theta equals to fx by f. Cos theta equals to fx by f. With that, what fx will get? After adjustment, f cos of theta, f cos theta, okay? Similarly, sin theta is what? Front side. Then in case of rectangle, side you can measure here or side you can measure here, meaning remains same. Because anyhow magnitude you have to find out, and it is already directed in upward direction, that already we know. So either you can call this as a vertical side or you can call this as a vertical side. For timing, if I am calling this as a vertical side, then I have to say sin theta. Sin theta equals to front side divided by hypotenuse. And front side, already we have calculated. This is vertical side. This vertical side you can call here or you can call here, meaning remains same. So sin theta equals to vertical side divided by hypotenuse. So sin theta equals to vertical side means fy divided by hypotenuse means f. So fy equals to what will get? F sine of theta. So friends, henceforth, remember x component equals to f cos of theta, y component equals to f sine of theta. Provided your angle is with respect to x-axis. This angle is with respect to x-axis. Cos theta equals to fx by f. So fx equals to f cos of theta. Sin theta equals to fy by f. Fy equals to f sin theta, f sin theta. So this is called as a resolution. This case, if you have to do geometrical lookout, this case can be shown by this way also. Already I told this fy you are marking here or fy you are marking here, meaning remains the same. Meaning remains same. There is no change at all. But if you have to show in a geometrical way, same case can be redrawn by this way. So look for that. Hypotenuse as it is, this is hypotenuse. This angle theta as it is, angle theta as it is. Fx, f cos of theta, and fy, f sin of theta. Fx is f cos of theta, fy is f sin of theta. And then, this is nothing but right angle triangle geometry. So from this right angle triangle, hypotenuse or length of hypotenuse, f equals to square root of fx square plus fy square. So that is written here also. So the resultant equals to square root of fx square plus fy square. Or if many forces are there, resultant must be equals to square root of summation of fx square plus summation of fy square. Then in this case, here this x component is directed to the right, this component is directed upward. Here this component directed left, this component directed down. Always what care you have to take? Angle always you have to take with respect to x-axis. Angle you have to take always with respect to x-axis. Not only that, our value of angle should be less than 90 degree. So these are called as a quadrantal angle. So imagine That Cartesian coordinate system is in front of you. If force is in first quadrant, measure its inclination from positive x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. But if force is in fourth quadrant, you have to measure angle with positive x-axis in clockwise direction. Clockwise direction. And try to make angle with respect to x-axis, at least at the beginning is concerned. Once you will understand everything, then you can go for inclination with respect to y-axis or inclination with respect to x-axis, which is suitable for you. So, look for that here. This is angle made by the force with respect to x-axis. So, resultant equals to square root of fx square plus summation of fy square. This force is in third quadrant. This is resultant. This is x component f cos of theta. This is y component f sin of theta. And same thing is given here, but this force Q is directed from origin O to the negative direction. Force is in fourth quadrant. It has inclination with respect to x-axis as theta. So Qx, just now you have seen, there is Q cos of theta and Qy equals to Q sin of theta. So Q cos theta and Q sin theta you have to write based on either angles are with respect to x-axis or with respect to y-axis. Better way, at the beginning, try to take angle with respect to x-axis. Don't compute with respect to y-axis. But how time passes, don't think that always angle with respect to x-axis. Sometimes angle with respect to y-axis may be simpler as compared to x-axis. So after knowing this knowledge, you'll get exact idea what exactly I have to do. Okay, any difficulty up to this? Okay. Any difficulty? Now look for that. Whenever you are finding components, either component of a force may be to the right, maybe to the left, maybe upward, maybe downward. Hence, for simplicity in calculation, what normally we are doing, if anything is directed to the right is called as positive. Anything which is directed to the left is called as negative. Anything which is directed upward is called as positive. Anything which is directed downward is called as a negative. But it's not like that. It's not like that. Sometimes downward direction may be very dominating direction. By chance, if ball is thrown in downward direction, ball is also moving in downward direction, velocity is downward, acceleration downward, displacement downward, all are downward. So in that, it is advisable to give positive sign. But you have to remember that in solving this problem, I am considering downward as positive, so it is your duty to consider upward as negative. Both positive, both negative is not permitted. You decide. You decide what exactly is to be done. So upward positive, downward negative. Towards right positive, towards left negative. This is called as the sign convention. This is called as the sign convention. Okay, so these are the sign conventions of a force. ओके पूर्वा ऐकत ना व्यवस्थित
हो सर.
पूर्वा हरिदास
हो सर.
ओके आता कोणतरी सांगेल का मला व्हॉट एक्झॅक्टली वी हॅव लर्न अप टू दिस who will tell me Who will explain what exactly we have studied? Who will explain? Can someone explain? कोण सांगू शकेल? Yes, roll number 15 of division A. You got your roll numbers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so roll number 15, roll number 16 of division A, '17, roll number 6. नाव काय तुमचं?